Hi guys, girls. This video, you'll probably looked at the title, Words Don't Come Easy, and thought to yourself, oh my god, Chris is going to break into song. Well, sorry guys, if you turned on to watch a video because of that, you're out of luck. So why is the video called Words Don't Come Easy? Well, it's quite simple really. One of the hardest things to being a driving instructor is being able to use words that your pupil can understand and can correctly react to. So what do I mean by that? Some of the things you get asked to teach your pupil will be in a stationary car. For instance, the controls lesson or the cockpit drill. That's very, very simple. That you're sat next to somebody, the car's not moving, you're in a very, very safe environment, and you've got all the time in the world to sit and talk to your pupil, explain things, show them things, so they understand and they get it right and they get it successful. But then if you were to do something like, I don't know, approaching junctions, turning left and right from a major to minor road, now that's different. You've now got a car that might be moving at 20, 30 miles an hour towards a junction. You want them to be successful. They've never done it before. So you've got to get them to go through that MSPSL routine. And in order to do that, you've got to talk them through it. If you use too many words, it's never going to happen, is it? You're going to run out of time. How many of you done that? If your words that you do use aren't consistent, so you change it every time, it's going to confuse and mislead the pupil. So the point I'm trying to make here is that you want to keep things very, very simple for your pupil to understand. You know, use precise terms, concise, consolidate. Tell your pupil before you get moving what certain words you're going to use means. Let me give you an example that isn't driving related, that perhaps that might help you understand where I'm coming from here. I'm taking that most of you have seen Bic pens, and you can buy those ones that they're all yellow, aren't they? The case is yellow. Not the see-through ones, but the yellow ones. So let's imagine you took the caps off them so they can't see the coloured caps, and you had 10 yellow Bic pens. You lie them on a table, so left to right there's 10 pens in a nice row. Your friend walks in. Now one of those pens has got green ink in it, and your friend walks in the door and you want the green pen, so you turn around to your friend and you say, do us a favour, give us the green pen over. The first thing he's going to do is, well, where are they? Oh, they're on the table. Oh right, and he's going to look on the table and he's going to see 10 Bic pens in a line, but they're all yellow, the cases are all yellow. So then he's going to probably think to himself, well, which one's green? Now he could ask, he could say to you, well, which one's the green one? Or he could turn around and say, well, they're all yellow. Or he could turn around and if there's a bit of paper there, an old newspaper there, he might pick each one up individually, write with it until he finds the one that's got the green ink in it. How complicated is that simple request been? How could it have been easier? Well, if you put those pens down and you knew that the third one from the left was the one with the green ink in it, then when your person walks in, your friend walks into the room next time, you might say to them, oh, hand us the third pen on that desk there from the left, it's the one with the green ink in it. Now he's going to pick up, what, this one? And you say, yeah, that one. See how simple that was? You're going to get the required response straight away. Now, okay, you might be watching this video and say, well, what if they don't know their left and rights? Well, that's a different story. You know, if you've got somebody who doesn't know their left and rights, you're going to have to think, well, how else could I explain it to them? Because you've got to be adaptable. So you might say to your friend, because you know he doesn't know his left from his right, you might say to your friend, oh, hand me the pen with the green ink in it. It's the one nearest me, the third from the start there. He knows exactly, it's the one nearest, so it's at the end nearest him. Oh, it's that third pen. And he just give it to you, you've got success, because you change the words you use to meet his needs, so you get success. As a driving instructor, you've got to do that. You've got to be able to do that. You're going to be encouraged by myself, by Helen, and by your own trainers to go out there and develop scripts, develop talk-throughs. So be able to talk your trainer, your pupils, through a left turn. So you're going to use terminology that gets that MSPSL routine. Now I know with many PDIs that have sat in the car with me that they might do the first two, they do every part of that routine and they get it spot on. Then the third one they might forget to mention the position, or the fourth one they might forget to get me to put the signal on. So there's inconsistencies there, and because there's inconsistencies there, it gets confusing for the pupil, you know. things are going to go wrong because they're starting not to understand what they're being asked to do. When you give talk through, you want it to be the same every time. So if you say check your centre mirror, check your left mirror, signal down for left, normal road position, speed down to 10 miles an hour, clutch down into second gear, bring that clutch up, look ahead, look into the road, steer now, check your centre mirror, check your right mirror. If you do that, you want to do it every time, and you want to do it the same every time. Providing, of course, the approach is the same, because there might be something different. There might be a parked car there, so you might have to go out to the right before you go left. So again, you've had to develop a talk through that is adaptable. So you know that when you look at that junction, you can say, oh, there's something different here, so I've got to explain. So we've got a car here, so we're going to do it slightly differently. You'll get that out, so now they know that the words that are going to come from your mouth are going to be slightly different from the last 2 or 3 junctions. Consistency is really, really important. We learn a lot of things by rote, repetition. Driving instruction is no different, really. Be adaptable. So if something works for 9 pupils, it's not necessarily going to work for the 10th one that comes along. You might need to change it slightly. You might need to change a word. There might be a word they don't understand. I had a Chinese lassie not so long ago that spoke brilliant English. She was very, very good. But I can remember when we did moving off and stopping, and I sat there and I asked her to tell me where the curb came into the bottom of the windscreen. Well, you'd think I turned into some sort of alien. She didn't have a clue what I was talking about. And it's purely because she didn't know what curb meant. She didn't know what the term curb meant. I tried pavement. She didn't know what pavement meant, but she knew what sidewalk meant. So in her understanding, sidewalk was what she needed, you know. So once I found that out, it was easy. Well, tell me where the edge of the sidewalk comes into the car then. She understood, she was able to do it. So consolidation is quite important. We said keep things simple. How many times do you go to talk somebody through a junction and just simply run out of time, you can't get the words out? Maybe said, well, now we're going to check our centre mirror. How many words was that, guys? Whereas if you said to them before you move off, okay, so we're going to move off, we're going to have a go. Now when I say check your centre mirror, or if I say centre mirror, I want you to glance in the centre mirror. And if I say left mirror, I want you to glance in the left door mirror. Okay? If you tell them that, then when you say, as you're moving along, say, we're going to take the next road on the left, so centre mirror, what are they going to do when they hear those words? Well, because you've explained to them what you mean by that, they're going to look up. Left mirror, they're going to look to the left mirror because they understand. Again, being adaptable. What about the pupil that doesn't know left? Gets their left and rights mixed up. Well, if you spot that, then you need to change it. So you might decide to hold your hand out, as you say. So you might point to it and say, you're going to go left mirror, centre mirror, so that they understand. You've adapted your instruction to meet their needs. How about a roundabout? You're going round a roundabout and you want to keep them left of the dotted line. The last thing you really want to say to them is keep left. If you keep left and they're in the middle lane, where do you think they're going to end up? They're going to be in that left-hand lane, aren't they? Because they've heard the word left. So how could you adapt it to get better success? How about keep my side of the dotted line? You're sat there, keep my side of the dotted line. Most people will probably understand what you mean by that, so they keep that side of the dotted line. Steer towards me rather than steer left. You know, sometimes that can help. You've got a pupil that gets his left and rights mixed up, and you say steer towards me, then he might just steer into the car that's about to overtake because he steered to the right. So make sure that you adapt your instruction, the words you use, to meet your pupil's needs. How do we develop that? Because, you know, getting out on the move, it can be quite frustrating. So what you need to do is think about the different tasks that you're going to be asked to teach your pupils. Work out how you're going to use simple instructions to achieve that. What you could do is spend a little bit of time. Let's talk about moving off and stopping. You're going to do that for the first time. So sit down at a desk with a pen and paper and say to yourself, right, I've got a pupil, never done this before, and I've got to taught them how to move off and stop. Decide what you're going to say and write it down. Once you've written it down, read it back, and in your mind carry out the actions that the words are saying. and visualize whether you think that would be successful or not. You know how to drive a car. You know if you miss something out. You might say to the pupil, right, with your left foot, put the clutch fully down. Now select first gear. Now, if your pupil's never driven a car before and doesn't know where first gear is, for example, how are they going to get that right? You know, they might take a guess, they might get it right if they're lucky, but the chances are it might go horribly wrong. So what could you do to make sure you get success? You might say, with your left hand, palm facing me, push the gear stick towards me and forward into first gear. Hand back on the wheel. Keep your feet still. By adding certain words in, you can guarantee success. If I said to them, palm facing me, the chances are they understand what I mean. Hand on gear stick, they know where the gear stick, that's where it is, that's where the hand's going to go. Push the gear stick towards me and forward into first gear. They now know that that's how they select first gear. Hand back on the wheel, they're going to put their hand back on the wheel. Keep your feet still. They're going to keep their feet still. It can't really, I say it with a smile, it can't really go wrong. Now, I know some of you will be sat there and say, yeah, well, I said to my pupil the other day, I said to my trainer the other day to do that, and he put it into third gear. Oh, so it doesn't work, does it, Chris? Well, actually, yes, it does, because all that trainer's trying to do is to make sure you're watching them. Because your job's to keep them safe, to keep the car safe. You've got to have control of your pupil. So when you're giving those commands, look at them, watch them do it. Don't just look out the window at some, I don't know, some dolly bird walking by, or some smart looking car, or a coat in the shop window while you give those commands. If you're doing that, how do you know that the correct action's been carried out? So keep things simple and consolidate it. One more example, let's talk about steering. Moving off and stopping is a subject I mentioned already. If you want your pupil to steer to the left or to the right, you need to make sure they understand what you mean. How much do you want them to steer? Remember those key words. You want success. You want it to go well. It breeds confidence, both for the pupil's ability. The pupil gets confident if things go right, and also if things go right, they start to respect you as an instructor, and they start to think that you are the bee's knees, because you're giving them all the help they need and they're getting success from it. So, for example, when you move away from the side of the road for the very first time, remember your learner's never done this before. If you only want the car to steer slightly to the right, you've got to make sure they understand what you mean. So if you say steer to the right, what are they going to do? They could whip that wheel round as fast as they like, as much as they like, and they can end up on the other side of the road. Or you might say steer just a little bit to the right. Well, what does a little bit mean? To you it might mean that much, to them it might mean that much, or it might just mean that much. So you need to be more concise, give them more information. If you said steer 5 minutes to the right, what does that mean to them if you haven't consolidated, if you haven't told them what 5 minutes to the right means? So you'd explain to them that your steering wheel's a clock face, that's 12 o'clock, that's quarter past, that's half past, that's quarter to. So 1, 2. So if I want you to go 5 minutes to the right, I want you just to steer the wheel 5 minutes. So you're going to go from the 12 to the 1. So just turn it that much. And if I wanted 10 minutes, it'd be that much. Okay? By telling them that before you actually get the car moving, by making sure they know what you mean, how can they really get it wrong? You know, most pupils are going to understand what you say. Even your examiner on your part 3, if you've given him good, good information, you told him what words you're going to use, and you've consolidated those words so they can't really be misunderstood, and you've checked he understands it, when you move off and you ask him to steer 5 minutes towards him or to the right, it's exactly what he's going to do. If he thinks you're not watching, he might do it a bit more, but that's just purely because he wants you to be watching him. So don't think just because he's got it wrong it's necessary he didn't understand what you wanted. It might just be he's checking that you're watching, or it might just be he wants to make sure you're going to adapt to help him. You're going to provide him the help, so if it goes wrong, you're going to correct it correctly. So how are you going to develop it? You know, I've already said, write it down, read it back, you can record it, go out with a buddy. You know, when you buddy up with somebody, and this is a great tool. When you buddy up with somebody, if you're working on this, if you're working through your talk-throughs, then only do what you're asked to do. All right. So if they said to you, bring the clutch up, just bring that clutch up, straight up. Because that's how the person sat next to you is going to learn. They're going to realise, oh, we stalled then. Oh, that's because I told you just to bring the clutch up. What I should have said was bring it up softly, gently, slowly. That's enough. There should have been more control, more help. So when you want to practice your talk-throughs, when you're with your buddy or something like that, only do what the words say. If you're going to go out with your husbands, with your wives, just explain to them what you're trying to do. So tell them, only do what I ask you to do. And if they do that, that's going to help you develop it. The other option, of course, is just to record it onto a dictaphone and listen back to it. Or perhaps when you're recording it, carry out the actions after you give each command. So pretend you're the learner. Say the words you've written on your sheet or that you've learned and respond to it. But respond to what you hear and be quite disciplined. Be quite picky on yourself. Listen to those words carefully and just say, well, could I get that confused? Could I get that mixed up? Do I need to change it? Keep the word short, as I've already said. That's very, very important because it breeds success. Enjoy your training sessions. You know, get out there, practice, develop these words. We both know, me and Helen and your trainers, we know that you guys know your stuff. You passed your part 1, so you've got the knowledge there, and we know you can apply it because you've got your part 2, so you can drive. All you've got to do now is get those words out, but make it in a way that your pupil can understand. Have fun with it, guys. See you in car.